Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tadaima, Terrace House podcast, your weekly companion to your favorite show on Netflix. I'm Robert Scarpanito, and I'm joined here by Daily Wilhelm,
Konbanwa,
Jack Cepeda.
Touch my meat and you die.
What? Nope.
What?
Nope.
What?
Nope.
not touching that.
You mean you die from opening new doors?
Hey.
And Colin Sparling.
Hey everybody. Can someone please, if there is a musically inclined Tadaima fan out there, take Robert's intro to the show and somebody just make it into a lo-fi song.
Vaporwave.
Sure.
Just do it. I want to hear it.
I thought you were
Hello
gonna
everybody
say
and welcome to Tadaima, a Terrace House podcast.
sample
Yeah.
what Jack just said about the meat.
Yeah, that was wild. Okay, Jack, where did that come from?
Don't eat a man's meat. That's what we're talking about this week.
Please
I
don't
hear
add a
that
B in front of
some men
that.
like that, but whatever.
Don't touch the meat in the freezer.
I mean, you know what you're doing, right?
I do.
Dude, you're giving someone precious sound bites out there.
Just life affirming, life pro tips, guys. Don't fuck with a man's steak.
Okay.
Is that what they're calling it now?
There's
He's
a lot
staking
of
his claim.
There's a lot of reasons he's making a lot of meat puns, because this week, guys, we're talking about the meat crime and just Uchi and Minori and everything surrounding them in general. But let's be honest,
They are the crime.
it's the meat crime.
Guys, I wanted to talk about this with somebody and analyze it since I've watched this episode for the first time, 2-3 years ago now?
For freaking years. I mean, I feel like when we started this show, late 2018, I feel like it's all been building to this. It's all been crashing and converging. This is like the beginning of the universe here, what's going to happen, because we're going to finally talk about one of the most notorious ever crimes committed on Terrace House.
Robert or Jack, you're setting the expectation really, really high.
High
No,
pressure.
but it has been like a crazy ride, like just watching Terrace House and knowing like you guys keep being like the meat crime. Oh yeah, the meat crime, and like now having some context is really, really like clarifying and satisfying to finally know like what is the meat crime.
Yes.
Right, for context,
Because
Daily
I had
is
no
watching this
idea.
for the first time. Yeah.
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 I like asked around like, what do you think a meat crime is?
If you just
Because
know
I
those
didn't
two
know what to
words.
think. I was like, what is a crime involving meat? And I got various answers. One of them being like stealing meat. There was like cooking meat incorrectly, and then there was one where it was just like
That's a crime.
throwing meat at someone. Very PETA-esque meat crime.
It's
That
just
is
a
a
food
crime. Like I was just thinking in my head when you said that, Daily. If I saw a video of someone really ruining like an awesome, like A1 Wagyu or A7, whatever the
A5.
scale is, thank
A40?
you, Wagyu, and just like destroying it on like a flat top next to like McDonald's burgers, like I would consider that a meat crime as well too.
That's a meat crime.
Cringe at the thought.
Yes, but we will get to these meat crimes and meat criminals later. But I say let's kick things off with
Criminals, that's
meat
worse.
criminals. Meat
Yes, the
criminals
meat
is
criminals.
my new favorite term
Meat
to
criminals.
describe anyone.
It's my band.
But I say let's start with where kind of the tipping point of when Uchi and Minori actually got together. And that is that iconic event known as the Coward Omurice.
Yeah.
Coward.
I love
mean,
that scene.
It's where the seeds of evil were sown. And
You know,
Evil?
listen, the real seeds of evil is putting ketchup on eggs. That's just
Thank you. Thank you.
Hold on.
It's just
Thank
strange.
you. That is fucked up, guys.
Hold on.
Ketchup. You put ketchup. Oh, if you do ketchup on eggs, then you're doing ketchup on rice, probably. And I stand against this.
Yeah, it's
ardently.
Omurice. You put the ketchup
good.
in the rice and then on top of the omelet. That's Omurice.
Yeah.
What?
It's
No,
one kind
bro.
of Omurice.
Nah,
but yeah.
nah.
I don't think
Hold
this
on.
is okay.
So are you
What do you
telling me
mean
y'all
you
don't
don't-
put ketchups on your eggs ever? You've never done it.
I don't like to. I don't.
What do you
I don't
put on your eggs,
choose to
then?
do it.
Salt
I
and
make an
pepper
omelet.
and maybe hot sauce.
Cheese, hot sauce, yeah,
Cheese.
salt and pepper,
Yeah.
and like various omeletry.
Like ketchup.
Mise en place. No, ketchup.
No,
on eggs.
if we're making an omelet, it's like cheese. It's like meat and mushrooms and onions and
That's an egg
Oh,
crime.
All this is all this is telling me that y'all have never had a proper omurice, and I pity you
I haven't,
for this.
But
Okay.
I mean, people also give me okay. I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna temper my expectations because people gave me shit for putting ketchup on mac and cheese.
Ugh.
That's good. It's good. It's good stuff. Ketchup on anything, man. I'm a ketchup fan.
I don't get all of these closed-minded people on this podcast who are
Ketchup
like
is
ketchup
not
on
a real
eggs.
condiment, man.
Yes, it's literally the epitome
I
of a
won't go
condiment.
that far. I like my ketchup.
I will tolerate.
But
I'm not a big fan of ketchup.
don't
Even
know
for
if it-
fries, I'll do barbecue sauce. I'm not a big fan of ketchup. So here's the thing. I will concede. I have had omurice, proper omurice, with ketchup on it. Like I won't like ask for it off, and I won't like scrape it off and try and ignore it. Like I'll just enjoy it the way it's intended to be. So I've had that. But when I first learned about what omurice was, I watched that super popular video on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen that guy, that older guy, I think in Kyoto, that makes omurice with demi-glaze. And it's like incredible. Like he puts the egg on top of the rice, then he takes a knife and cuts it in half, and it like kind of opens up and it's all
Just
runny and
falls
gooey.
open.
Yeah, and it looks so incredible. So he uses demi-glaze. And to me, that was the very first time I ever saw or learned what omurice was. So then I was surprised to see that, no, it's actually ketchup. Because I went to a place here in Austin thinking like, oh, I'm going to get the fucking awesome omurice. Nah, it had ketchup on it. I was like, disappointed, but I'm going to eat this. So it's fine. I just don't prefer it.
So omurice comes in a lot of different flavors and types, I mean, ketchup on it is one way to do it, but I've also gone to a lot of places that do like curry on like they just slather some curry on top of this omurice.
I could get with that.
I'll do that.
With that.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of ways to do it, but I think to outlaw one just because it has red sauce on it is bigoted.
Hey,
That's
call it what
bigoted.
you want, dude. But I don't
Bigoted?
think I agree with you, Colin. I don't think ketchup belongs on eggs. I don't think it belongs on rice.
I-
It barely belongs on a hot dog. Barely.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm really split when it comes to ketchup on things, but I have had ketchup on eggs before, not on rice, but on eggs.
It comes
and
out.
Was not a fan.
I'm just not a ketchup boy. I'm not a ketchup boy, guys. You can't convert me. I'm a barbecue man.
Well, see, so I can understand you, Jack, but Colin, I don't trust your opinion because you only like Heinz.
I mean, I don't only like Heinz, but I
Your
massively
opinion's
prefer Heinz when we're
invalid.
talking to like common branded ketchups. Like
there
we're
a
not-
difference
Still talking about ketchup.
yeah,
Is
we're
there
still
a
talking about
difference-
ketchup.
Is there a difference between Heinz and
ketchup.
Heinz 57?
Isn't
is there
57 the
difference?
special sauce?
Yeah, it's
They make
different.
all like Heinz makes multiple sauces, but their ketchup is usually my go-to ketchup because no other mass-produced ketchup compares.
At least you guys aren't saying catsup.
But I mean,
Anyway, so
why not Portland?
Terrace
Or,
House.
anyway, yeah. Look, ketchup is
Coward
good.
omurice.
They're-
If you ever get a chance to try Portland Company ketchup, very good. Try it. Anyway, the omurice incident. We haven't even actually discussed what it is. We just kind of walked right
We
into
have
it.
to explore
Omurice.
brave
Omurice.
topics on this show.
We know
For
what
sure.
omurice is now. It's like a comfort food. I have always seen it as. It's like something easy to make for another person that you want to send a message to, apparently.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those foods that honestly, it takes a little more work than you would think to make it.
I mean,
But
omelets are already tough, so I don't
Yeah.
doubt it.
But it's pretty good once you get it. Anyway, what happens in the incident, in this incident on Terrace House, is Minori makes everyone some omurice, right? And Uchi comes home late, and she saves one for him, and she leaves it on the table with a note like, for Uchi. And then he opens it up, and he sees on the omurice, and keep in mind, everyone else had their names written in ketchup on their omurice. For him, it just said coward.
Why? Why though? We didn't give any context.
Oh, because Uchi's a fucking coward. He's not very assertive. He doesn't he goes on these dates with Minori without doing anything to seal the deal. And I mean, there's that one scene I remember where they were both sitting in the living room and she was dropping some mad hints like, I've got nothing going on tonight.
Yeah, she was literally like, please make a move for the love of God. Like she might as well have just like smacked him in the head and just said,
She
make
did.
a move.
With a pillow.
Oh, that's true.
She
Oh,
did
gosh,
throw
that
the
was
pillow.
painful.
Yeah. Oh my!
And he
he's
didn't
oh.
react at all.
He's like,
It's
I really like you.
wow.
I'm going to go lay down and go to bed right now.
So she called him a coward.
So unsatisfying.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, that would have gone
I
a lot
think.
differently on American TV.
Is that a good translation? We think like coward. of what that says, or is that just the closest one, or is it? I don't know, because coward in English just I feel like has such a negative connotation. I don't know.
What is that? What it said? Did it say that in like katakana, or did it say the Japanese word for coward?
Oh, it said it in Japanese. I was confused what you meant. Yeah. It was, what was it? It was ya something.
Googling quickly.
Show.
Because I mean, for me, right? Like, if
Yawamushi. Yeah, I mean, it's just straight up coward.
it seems harsh.
It's
didn't they say
cat,
like
wimp, sissy.
Wimp, yeah.
I was hearing them say something like pikkuri something, but
Bikuri. Well, like that's like
surprise,
like,
right?
Bikuri suru. It can mean also like someone that's like timid and easily like scared.
Wuss.
So uchi.
So
Yeah.
uchi.
Yeah, totally.
Even the pillow didn't give him a clue.
Right, but this ketchup on eggs did. This gave him a clue.
He laughed.
She literally had to spell it out for him.
He laughed, and then he goes up to the girls' room where the girls are gossiping. He's like, "Hey, come here, stand up." And he like grabs her face.
He makes it so much worse.
All the girls. He's like, "Come here," and she's like, "What? What are you doing? No, not like this. Not like this."
Like, it's clear he wants to like prove himself and be like, oh, a coward wouldn't do this. But like an inexperienced 12-year-old would. And that's what it came off as.
And that's what he is. And to everyone's surprise, like everyone thinks like Uchi's like, asking out all the girls because he's just so seasoned. He's so tenured. He's such a vet when it comes to the opposite sex. No, he doesn't know anything. He's barely had any relationships. He did it out of ignorance. And it shows like how inexperienced he really is, especially when he goes up to her and does that in the bedroom. Like, so inappropriate on every level.
I mean, just the way, like, what in his brain thought, I'm going to tell her to stand up and I'm going to demand that she close her eyes in that very demanding tone.
Rookie mistake, man. Rookie mistake.
Like,
he's lucky he didn't sink the ship with that.
That was like some elementary school shit.
It really was. It really was like third grade shit.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah.
Admittedly, like the way that she reacted only made it like all the more cringe. Like she wasn't making it any easier on him, but like I wouldn't make it easy on him because it's like, this was a bad call, dude.
Yeah. He's like, I'll show you. I'm not no coward.
Yeah, if I was Minori, I'd be like, yeah, let's take this outside.
Yeah, just the timing of it was really bad. And, even Uchi noticed, like, oh, the other two just disappeared. It's like, no shit, they disappeared. This is the weirdest situation on the planet Earth right now. They would get away as far as they can.
I wanted to disappear.
Same.
Yeah, same.
Just turn off Netflix. There you go. Done.
Netflix. Yeah, it was really bad. But thank God it's over, and somehow they got through that. And they're together now.
Yeah, because when that scene ended, Minori was like, oh, I'm worried that maybe he thinks I turned him down. Which, like, you kind of did, but also anyone would turn him down in that situation, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
Very understandably.
Just top to bottom, like, I just don't understand them very well. They are such a strange couple. They're so unique. And I don't know how I'm still kind of processing my thoughts as we're doing this podcast on like, how do I really, what's my takeaway from them as a couple?
Well, hopefully by the end of the podcast, you'll have your thoughts sorted. But after the really demanding not kiss from Uchi, Minori goes over to the boys' room and they kind of have a little heart to heart where they try to understand each other more, and it ends with them actually kissing and starting to date.
That's nice.
And it seemed like all is well and all is fine. But then
the secret sex room opens. They go live there.
Yeah.
Why you gotta keeps calling it so? Like when you kept saying like secret sex room, I was imagining not like a sex dungeon, but like no one knew that they were in there. Like it's a secret room that only the couples know about for some reason, and like no one's allowed in unless you're a couple.
It seems
but it's
like
just
it,
like another room that they have in case people become couples and want to sleep together and not be on the couch and make people feel awkward.
It's a sensationalized title, The Secret Sex Room, right? But the fact
the
way it was like brought up onto the show and introduced was like way in. Like, what are we on? Like episode 19, 20, somewhere around those parts?
17, 18 around there. But yeah, it's the first time we see that room.
Yeah, how the hell? Like, no one even knew it was there, at least from an audience perspective.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no one knew it existed. But I mean, when you say secret sex room, you make it sound like it's the secret like room from 50 Shades of Grey or some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's gotta
maybe
be
just drop
kinda
Whips
seeing.
and stuff.
leather
well, just drop the
straps
word-
and masks and
drop the secret part of it and just call it the fuck room.
because
You know?
it's hard for me to even imagine them romantic. It's so awkward for them
That's
just
what I'm saying.
to
I
kiss.
almost guarantee that. I mean, they probably had sex at some point, but I almost guarantee Uchi didn't initiate it.
I wonder, man. I
never
mean,
know.
I would think, yeah, it's pretty much foregone conclusion. They definitely were hooking up. I mean, an important point is that usually what we've seen in Terrace House is when people couple up, that's kind of when they leave together or they discuss it. And Uchi's like scared to leave together. He's kind of an exception to that rule. He's like, no, I want to stay here. He even said, I know it's selfish, but I want to stay here and live with her because I'll see her more often. And then Yama, I think, was
makes
taking him to
sense.
task. He took him to task. Like, you feel that weak about your relationship that if you don't live in Terrace House, it's going to end. Like, that's kind of a good point too.
Yeah, I mean, he said he felt like it would be convenient, right? And I mean, I kind of get that because it's sort of like living with your girlfriend without all the pressure of I'm living with my girlfriend, you know?
I am glad they stayed because we get some gems. We get some fucking pearls. The meat crime never would have happened if they left right away. So thank you.
Yeah, that's true. But even though, you know, they stay on the show, we start getting inklings of some doubt in the relationship. You know, we notice Uchi is busy a lot. Minori talks about how they never really spend much time together anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then Uchi says that he thinks Minori doesn't work hard and that he doesn't say the word lazy, but he kind of does everything without saying that word specifically, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
the,
he beats around it.
the thing
Yeah.
about it
Yeah.
is that when they were starting to date, I think he was really attracted to her when she said like she's going to quit her part-time job to really go, you know, full force on modeling and really double down and
Right.
commit to that. I think that was probably attractive to him. And then to see it just like kind of wane had to have been a bit of a disappointment, especially that early in the relationship. They're like weeks in, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
'Cause,
mean, definitely.
As wishy-washy as I feel like Uchi is as a person, he is very career-minded. He really is focused on his job, and then I think that influences the way that he sees other people. It's like, if you're not super focused on your job, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely see where Uchi is coming from. But when they do eventually have that talk in the Japanese room, where he's telling Uchi like, "Hey, yeah, I'm not seeing you work as hard, right?" And then he is like, I feel like really coming at her in a very like, even though he's not looking at her, it still feels very finger in the
Yeah,
chest.
yeah.
You know
He's
what I'm saying?
lecturing
Like,
her.
yeah,
He's lecturing her.
Exactly.
No one
He's
likes that.
lecturing her and is like, "Hey, you're not working like very hard. Like, are you just saying like, I know we've talked about this several times. Are you just saying like, okay to end the conversation, right? Like that. Like he's just kind of throwing it all in her face and telling her like, hey,
that
you
comes
need to do shit because obviously you're not focusing as hard on modeling as you said you would."
And they're a strange couple because doesn't seem like they would naturally date in the real world or outside of Terrace House in a way. And it's like they almost felt the pressure to couple up and they had to like force getting together in the most awkward fashion possible. And then now that they're together, it's still awkward. It's just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing, guys?
Don't they continuously kind of say they don't really have much to talk about with each other?
Right.
More
all
often
the
than
time.
not.
And it's like,
Yeah.
And they
what
don't
do
say
you
nice
mean
things to each other.
exactly?
Yeah, and they're always teasing each other and not saying nice things. I don't know. It's just not the. I kind of relate to Natsumi, right? When she's like, I just don't get them as a couple.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to judge a couple based on what I see. I think where Natsumi was coming from was a little bit rude in it, like if they're not displaying a lot of public affection, then they are not a couple. Like that's where I think Natsumi was coming from, which I think is a little bit offensive because there are definitely couples who don't do public displays, right?
Different is fine. It's just not the kind of relationship I would want to be in. It's the kind that they're in, I guess. For
Right.
me personally, but that's fine for them. If it works, I'm questioning, is it working for them? That's my question, I guess.
It feels like they don't know a lot about each other.
Yeah.
It definitely feels that way. I mean, and we really don't know much about them other than like, you know, a tidbit of their personality, like how they act rather, and what they do for work. You know what I'm saying? And the Band-Aid really gets pulled off right when Natsumi comes into the house and then she's kind of picking at them and telling.
She brings it up. Yeah, she brings it to light.
Definitely. Yeah, because she tells Minori in the girls' room that, like, hey, you guys are a strange couple. Like, I don't really understand why you do this, but whatever. And then Minori's like, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah.
She's like, excuse me?
They just don't get along at all in the early goings. They're really at each other's throats.
It doesn't help that Natsumi, she's very forward. She pulls no punches.
Yeah, definitely. And she just kind of continues to pick at their relationship. But, like, eventually Minori gets annoyed, and then we end up having the meat crime happening. Don't really know where the idea for, like, cooking his meat came from. Not sure if they just saw it. They're just like, they just saw it, and they just like, yeah, we're gonna cook it.
It was there. Okay, if we're jumping to the meat crime right now, Natsumi, real quick before I get there, she had a Kansai accent. Is that right, Kansai? Was she?
Yeah, she has a Kansai accent.
Okay, got you. And they were just saying that's how people from Kansai are, and this is what happens when you mix people from those two different regions up. And apparently, like, the panel seemed to kind of have that thought. So with the meat crime, I guess Minori, Exhibit A. She basically told her sister after the fact. She said, "Well, we had a lot of rice. We didn't have any main dishes. This has been in the freezer for a while. He wasn't around, so we cooked it and we ate it. Basically, we were hungry. It was there. The end. We are a
really
collective society.
Nice
we all own all this food.
Sitting there. Clearly Uchi's. Like, everyone knew it was Uchi's. That's the thing that gets me the most. And the right questions were asked. For sure. I don't remember if it was Hikaru or someone else that was like, hey, is he going to mind that we're doing this? Like,
was
is this
asking,
okay?
Yeah.
And Minori's just like, yeah, it's fine.
Why
wouldn't it be?
And that's the thing. Like, I will say in this situation that Minori was 100% the arbiter of everything. Like, she's one like, yeah, we should cook this meat. Yeah, it's perfectly okay. Don't worry, guys. It's fine.
So much rage.
And everyone else is like, fine, I'm going to eat this and enjoy it, but Minori's going to take most of the hit anyway, so whatever.
And they didn't even save him any. And then the largest fucking crime of this whole thing is when Minori tries it, she's like, I don't really like it.
That's the meatiest crime.
She's like, it's too much fat. And yeah, there's a lot of fat and it's very well marbled and it's an acquired taste.
That's what's supposed to be so good, though.
It's good, yeah.
Like, they just made these little bowls, like little, like, Unidon, and it's like, no.
Yeah, and, I mean, just looking back on it, Natsumi was kind of the leading voice of reason in this. I mean,
she did not touch the meat.
Yeah, and because she's a little crazy, she holds it over everyone's head. But at least she was in the right, and I respect her for that. Because when you look at how Minori thought this through, like, I understand her reasoning of, we needed a main dish, it was in the fridge, we eat food to survive, that is what humans do, etc. But Uchi told her, presumably, like, the day he got that meat, I could just imagine being, like, hey, Minori, look at what happened at work today. One of our good clients came in all the way from Nagoya, right?
Yep.
And gave us this awesome meat as a gift. Like, isn't that exciting? A client really treasures my work.
He didn't even say gave us. He said gave me.
Yeah. This is a gift, Minori.
For
and
me,
she's like, cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat that later.
She probably wasn't even listening. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think that really happened is that just, like, in one ear, out the other, she wasn't really considering, like, this is an important thing. She was just like, yes, this is Uchi's meat. I don't know why he has this, but we might as well cook it.
Dude.
Or worse, she did remember that whole story and just didn't consider the fact that he would probably want to eat that.
Yeah, that's honestly worse in my opinion.
And they didn't enjoy it.
For reference, Nagoya is about a 4-hour drive to Tokyo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's 2 hours by bullet train, it looks like. But still, that's a lot of money spent getting there. That's like, it's a lot of travel time.
Keeping it cold.
Money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. And also, shipping the meat. But the clients showed up there to, get their hair done by Uchi. I don't know if they went there just for that, but obviously they were way out of town.
Still.
I mean, Uchi,
right.
objectively, he's amazing at hair. He's doing a great job with all the roommates' hair. He's gotten this meat. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, like, what would it take for me to gift a hairdresser like some exquisite meats, some exquisite proteins?
Yeah.
It'd take a lot.
For
That's
sure.
That's not just a casual gift.
Yeah, and that looked like expensive ass meat. I don't know if it was A5 Wagyu, but it certainly looked similar.
The wooden box, like Daly said, was so
wooden box with a note on how to cook the meat specifically. I think that's the worst part of the whole thing.
Dude,
They completely fucked up cooking it, probably.
They just threw it in a pan, and I'm sure there was some very specific instructions there, handwritten in a scroll. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
Because like the way, like considering all these beautiful things about the meat and how carelessly it was then treated after Minori got a hold of it, do you guys think, because that's what I was just thinking the entire time I was watching this, do you think that he overreacted once he found out
Here's the
that
thing.
the meat was gone?
Yeah, you bring up a good point here. So it was almost like so poetic. I was almost suspecting this was set up this way by the producers, because he walks into the kitchen, everything's pretty much cleaned up there, right? Most of the evidence is put away, but almost like some crime novel or something. The box is there, all like tattered, like on the side with like the wax paper or whatever, just all crumpled up inside it, and he just looks at it. He's like. And then the camera cuts to it, that cuts his face, then he sits down. And like everyone's freaking out about how pissed and how mad he is and how like over the top this is, and I can't believe he's so angry. To me, watching the show, he seemed to address it with them very calmly. Like he was direct, and he was like not messing around. He wasn't smiling, but to me he was in a measured tone. He wasn't like banging the table or anything like that. He just said, "So this meat is it's not here anymore, and it was mine, and I don't like that." And so everyone's like, "Oh, he overreacted." I'm like, "Really? Like that's
he overreacted.
overreacting?"
And I think the reason why
and
he
cried.
held on to it for so long is because everyone reacted as if he overreacted.
I
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is kind of
Like,
rude.
I think everyone just kind of like was playing it off. You know what I'm saying? Everyone.
I mean,
was just kinda
Armand
like,
was laughing at him.
That's what I'm saying. Like everyone reacted in a really shitty way, and I think that's why he held on. You know, it would have probably not been as big of an issue. He still would have been pissed, yeah, but he probably would have gotten over it much quicker.
And the
So-
thing too. Oh, go ahead.
I would argue that he didn't overreact initially, but when it gets to the point where he's bedridden and literally one person at a time
Yeah, that was
goes
a
in to
little
try to talk to
extra.
him, that was extreme.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like, I get that there are days when you feel that way, but you just kind of have to at some point realize my girlfriend's fucking sister, who doesn't live in this house, came over to talk to me. Like, I'm being a little bitch right now.
Well, dude, hold on. I don't know if I can go down with this path with you, because, like, yes, I agree if on his face we're like, they ate his meat, he's sad, and then he reacts like that. But he detailed in that episode, right? Like, it's not about just the meat. It's about all the terrible things that are going on since me and Minori
Right.
started getting together. It's an accumulation of all the frustrations I have, and then this meat incident just knocked it loose. As
Right,
Natsumi
I'm
said.
right there with you, Jack.
You know, so it was like a breakdown, like it was a buildup. So I agree with you. Like, yeah, he's gonna be a little bitch if he's just about this meat, like crying in the fetal position in his bed. Okay, but it was a long drawn out kind of thing. So I kind of feel bad for him in a lot of ways.
So I'm factoring that in too, and I just think this is obviously a problem he's having with everyone, and it's not going to get solved with one person at a time going into your room. Like, at some point you have to take action and realize these people are trying to throw me an olive branch by not storming into my room with all 6 of them, but instead they're trying to send like an ambassador.
Yeah,
Right?
but you can't dictate it on their time. Like, like he can't be ready when they think he should be ready. He's got to have his own time, and they weren't giving him his time. And he's like, "Fine, just come in here if you want to talk, but I'm not ready to go out and talk to anybody." Like, it's on his terms. I feel like.
Yeah, I guess as like Uchi was laying there, the impression that I got was that I really thought he was like gearing up to break up with Minori. I thought that's what he was like, in the consideration of like, wow, she really doesn't, if she really cared for me, she would have, thought this through. And I don't think that she did. So she doesn't care for me. I'm surprised that other people in the house went along with it. It really hurts. And that's kind of like what he was thinking about. So yeah, I like being summoned. Then it's like, hey, stop pouting. I wouldn't want to go downstairs or
It's
upstairs, whichever one, and like
Yeah,
then have to hang out with these people.
Right, because then people were just like, hey, yeah, stop pouting and come downstairs. And I'm like, that's not
Fuck you, I'm gonna
helping.
pout more.
Yeah, that's not going to help. That's not going to help in the situation.
You can't force that kind of shit, man. I mean, he almost became a hikikomori? Is that the right term?
No, he was nowhere near that.
He did not become a hikikomori, but
Was that where you just don't leave your house? Agoraphobia, basically.
You don't leave your room. Yeah,
Yeah.
He was like that for at least one night.
Oh yeah, but I mean that's just a one night, right?
Yes.
Although I agree with you, Daily, I also thought at the time that he was going to break up with Minori, and frankly, after rewatching it, I don't understand how they were still together after, like, how they made up.
Adds to the mystery of their weird ass relationship because I don't get how that happened either. Like nothing makes sense to me about
because he's a
anything. they do.
coward. I think he
Yeah, he's a
just
little
took the easy
bitch.
way out by being like, okay, we're making up, I guess.
Yeah, and it's at that point, it's not even about you ate my meat, right? But it was more that you didn't consider how this object, or how this makes me feel, how I feel about it.
She has
And
values,
if you're
feelings.
gonna treat something like that with blatant disregard, what kind of future is there for that relationship? Period.
So Natsumi goes to his room, speaks to him by himself, and then Minori's sister, I can't remember her name, sorry. She
Kurumi.
goes up. Yeah, she goes up and talks, tries to talk him down, and then ultimately Minori goes up and talks to him one-on-one, and that's where this makeup is happening, and it's still, even though I've just watched it again, it's still a mystery to me, like exactly like you said.
Is it a
Robert, how
makeup? Is it really like?
Yeah, well, I mean, in a way, I mean, he's literally crying in the fetal position, like and when she comes to the room, he's like face down in tears. Like, do you remember that? He's like his arms
can
are
we
like
talk
behind
about-
his back. What?
Yeah, can we talk about how he was kind of like face down, ass up on his bed, like at
Yeah.
the foot of his bed? I love
Tears
that. Like,
streaming out of his nose.
yeah, I know it's very sad, but it was very funny as well.
Like, dude, it was so pitiful to see him like that. But isn't that where they made up? I thought, or was that
Yeah.
a different day? Yeah,
Yeah.
And now they're stronger than ever. It's like, what? What just happened?
No.
if anything, if I had to guess, maybe this is Uchi's inexperience with relationships, and he's just kind of telling himself like, "Oh, we got through a fight, ergo we're stronger." But it's like, no, because you didn't resolve the issues that were rooted in the fight and why it started.
They just said like the same thing that they've always said every time they have like a quote unquote like relationship conversation. It's just like, we need to communicate better. We need to communicate better. At some point, you can't just keep saying it. You like have to do it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and they definitely didn't resolve all of their problems, but they did resolve some, though, at least. And that's in that conversation, right? Like, they started talking really frank with each other about, like, hey, I hate that. Well, Minori says that I hate that you think that I'm lazy all the time, even though, like, I try to cook dinner for you before you get home, like, and have it ready for you, but you usually just go to bed. Like, I try to keep the Japanese style room clean, but you don't even notice.
Yeah, she like dusted and vacuumed and stuff. And it's like, you know what? Like, acts of service in a relationship are good, but also, like, I was thinking about that when she was saying you didn't even notice. Like, if you're doing it just so he notices, so you get some positive affirmation, like, your motivations are kind of skewed, right? You should do it because you just want your room to be clean.
Well,
but at the same time, he should still appreciate you too. But
right. So, I mean, yeah, I agree, but also, like, at the same time, at least, I mean, it's not like she's being an absolute lazy bum all the time.
Yeah.
she's
I
doing
would,
things.
to be.
She's doing things.
Right.
Yeah, I would hate that because I think that's like one of those things where it's like, you know, the laundry doesn't pick up itself, the dishes don't do themselves, but when you're not in the house and you just come home, you don't notice those things.
Yeah.
So I would get really miffed if it was just like, well, you don't do anything all day, and it's like, actually,
I mean, yeah. I mean, even, you know, take whatever I say with a grain of salt, but even like 7 years into my relationship and 2 years into my marriage here, next month will be our 2-year anniversary. Like, we still like
Congrats.
say like, hey, I noticed. Thanks. Like, hey, I noticed you did this. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Like, we still try and do that. It's important.
Oh, well, yeah.
And here they are 7 months into the relationship, and they're barely able to do that.
Yeah.
Holy shit, was it really 7 months?
Yeah.
that
Wait.
went by?
Really? That
Six.
long?
By the time they
Six.
leave, yeah, it's around
Okay.
6-7 months.
Holy damn.
But
wow.
the thing is,
Okay.
as totally fucked as this meat incident was, and if we want to, you know, kind of transition out of this conversation or not, I don't know. But it ends up, like I said, in them being a tighter couple somehow. And that's
I feel
crazy.
like it's just out of spite almost at this point. I feel like it's like Natsumi said we were weird. Now we can't break up because then she'll be right or something.
You get
like,
that
that's
sense?
almost what it felt like to me, is that like
Wow.
they had to stay together because otherwise it was going to be like, ooh, you broke up over meat.
We were wrong.
Right. Well,
See,
They both are
spoiler
very
alert.
stubborn, right? They both are very stubborn. They don't like being wrong.
Well, spoiler alert, Daily. I don't know. Do you already know that they broke up in real life?
I'm fucking sure. I hope they did.
They broke up like soon after leaving the house.
Newsflash.
Yeah, but they're not gonna walk around the house with like people knowing that the meat incident did this, or the meat incident got them out of the house.
I
I agree that they probably felt outside pressure to stay together. I don't think it's from Natchan, though. I want to say it's from the fact that they were on Terrace House, because they probably didn't want to be the first couple that broke up on Terrace House.
That'd be awkward.
Yeah, that would be awkward. Has that happened?
Barring the first season, no, not yet.
Yeah.
Man.
Watch. Yeah. Correct us in the comments if you know. Tell us about it. Tell us all about it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So they do break up because they try to smooth that over. They try their best, but I don't know the exact reason why they broke up. But obviously they weren't living together after they left the house. So that probably was part of it. And then they probably just finally realized that they're just really different. And they obviously don't have much to talk about either.
Do you think when they broke up, she made him some Omurice and then in ketchup wrote, "I'm breaking up with you"?
I wonder who broke up with. It was probably Minori.
We can dream. I wonder, dude. He was pretty fed up with her. I mean, who knows?
But I feel like he just takes the path of least resistance.
Clearly, yeah.
Uchi comes off as the kind of person who will complain, but will never do anything to fix whatever he's complaining about.
Oh, I hate that.
Yep.
Wakarete kudasai. Please break up with me.
I can't do it myself, but could you please do it?
Agete.
Here, I'll put the knife in front of my heart for you. Just push.
Yeah, all you just need to push.
Just push. Only guy.
But yeah, so the meat crime, I guess, wraps up somehow. I really don't know how, because I feel like Uchi is still pretty pissed. I remember in their farewell dinner, whereas the last time all 6 of them are having dinner, Hikaru kind of pretends that he doesn't have any, like, he can't be blamed for the situation, and it's like, fuck you, Hikaru, you are just as much about the problem.
The meat.
As
Yeah, he's
everyone
like,
else.
you owe me ramen.
You
He holds a
now.
grudge.
Really
Yeah, it
ramen.
comes up. He holds a grudge on it. Like, it's not totally resolved. Like, for him and Minori, it somewhat is. But yeah, he still is not tight with. He's not kosher with everyone in the house as a result. And like you said, Colin, you owe me ramen. Like, yeah, that's not happening. It's your last day here.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that pretty much does it for the meat incident, right? That's like pretty much it.
So, we know how it ends, but I'm still, I guess, confused about how it ever began. Like, why did they get together? Like, why do you guys think that they got together? Because I see it as like a relationship of convenience. Like, they did jive. Like, they like made that apron together, and like that seemed fun. But I really never saw them as like more than friends.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because Uchi himself says that about the relationship of convenience. Because I remember it was him and Minori, I think, sitting in the girls' room. And he was like, yeah, like, do you ever think about like how a relationship might be one of convenience, right? Because it's just, since we live together, we're in such close proximity that's the reason why we're dating. I can't remember exactly what Minori's response was.
It was always a point of frustration for Minori because she was just like, it was just such a low effort thing for him, right? That was the whole thing why she threw the pillows, because he's just, I'm not going to try that hard. If it happens, it happens. Don't eat my meat.
Yep. My guess is, and we've said this before in our coverage of BGITC, the first 3 guys really blow in this season. They all
suck.
really suck.
In really bad way, in different ways too.
Yeah, and it turns out by the end of it, Uchi's the best choice by default, not because he's a good, fun, interesting person.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel as a viewer. And I'm curious if at some point that's how Minori felt as someone in the house. Because consider her options. A tap dancing, Costco hating weirdo with bad hair, or a smoking baseball boy who doesn't actually try to do anything but totally says he's going to get serious about baseball.
Riding the pine.
And also says he's going to get serious about their relationship.
Oh, and he bribes her with shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. Slim pickings, guys. For the guys. Slim pickings.
Like, at that point, I guess my best option is this tall, awkward, lanky, boring hairstylist. Because by the time Armand joins the house, she's already in too deep with Uchi.
Yeah, there was no chemistry with her and Armand. I mean,
that's true too.
And it's funny because when Armand gets to the house, he's like a shining beacon compared to the first three.
Yeah, and it's honestly making me think, because when I thought back to the season, I always thought Armand was my second favorite boy. And so far he still is, but part of me is thinking how much of that is influenced by the fact that he was the first boy that was actually worth caring about.
It's like the bar was so low.
Yeah.
he was
and
trying
he just
to get
steps over it very neatly.
He was trying to get
With
a
his
job,
shoes
and,
on.
he didn't get that English teaching job, which I was surprised
Right.
for Armand.
Right.
I was
But
hoping
Same.
for that for
we're
him.
going to do a deep dive on Armand for sure, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do
That's
multiple.
yeah.
That's in the
I mean,
plans.
they're together because, like you said, Daly, like, it's the path of least resistance. And it's in a way, Uchi was treating the show much like his own dating reality show. Like, it was all about him when he was at the table asking girls, to go out. And so he was there. He was single, looking to mingle. He was there to get a girlfriend and leave with a girlfriend. And he made that very clear in his motivations. But he's just really bad and really inexperienced at all this, really awkward. And I don't know. Everything about them confuses me. Like, when I think it's going to go one way with Minori and Uchi, it totally veers off in some direction I would never foresee. So I've given up trying to predict their behavior because it's so erratic to me.
Right.
They are weird. It's like weird because I bristled when like Natsumi called them out. It's like, you guys don't act like any couple I've ever seen. And it's like, they can be super comfortable with each other and not have to be like lovey-dovey and stuff. Like, fuck off, Natsumi. But then at the same time, I'm also having those reservations where it's like, it's not so much like they're not super affectionate or anything. It's that like they don't know each other. They don't seem to care a lot about like what the other person is feeling. And it's like, if you miss those like baselines, then it's like, are you really together? Or are you just like, hey, we're going out now, third grade style, this is my boyfriend.
We're going steady. We're going steady.
Right.
There's no trust. There's no respect. There's no realistic expectations. The pillars of a healthy relationship. And it's just... their foundation's made out of graham crackers, essentially. And it's so puzzling.
Delicious.
Yes,
They seem
like
so
a gingerbread house.
They seem so distant. It's like a gingerbread house. They seem so distant from each other, even though they live in the same house for a good long while during the relationship. And
it's still hard for me to see them physical because they don't hold hands, they don't hug.
I don't want to see them physical.
I don't want to see it, but it's just to think about them being intimate. It's just hard for me because their kisses are so awkward. It's just they don't, like I said, they don't hold hands, they don't hug. And that was one of the things that Minori's sister was even saying when she was in the house. She's like, this could have been all we could have saved this with you just going behind, hugging him from behind. Didn't she say that? Like, this could have all been resolved with that. And they're just not that kind of couple.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like either of them really have much of a romantic streak in them.
Right. Before we close the book on Uchi Minori, I do want to take this point to shine a spotlight on who I think the Tomio of this season is. It's totally Kurumi, Minori's sister.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I loved her.
Yes, she's like the favorite non-member that recurs in the show.
I was really
she's great.
confused too because I remember like someone left, Mizuki left, and then like Kurumi came over and it's like, oh yeah, she's the new member. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then she wasn't, and I was disappointed.
I know. I feel like she would have been a lot more fun to watch than Minori, which is a little mean to say, but Kurumi just has this vibrant personality where she's kind of a lot like Natsumi, but less rude about it.
Yeah. It's like she's allowed to be rude to Minori as well because it's like that's their
That's
relationship,
sisterhood.
their sisterhood. Like, you're supposed to be mean to your sister, at least a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was just plain refreshing, and it was almost like she was the representation of the viewer, right? Like she knew what was going on in the house before we did, right? But she was the one who got to react first, and so we saw her reaction of like, oh, hey, this person's not in the house anymore. Hit, like, really surprised and stuff like that. So it was really just fun to see her in the house and see her be a fan like the rest of us.
I mean, she literally called Yuki Tap Sensei.
Yeah, Tapu Sensei.
She brought that onto the show. That was so good. I was so happy with that. Well, with that, I think let's bring the show home. Let's bring it to a close. We've meat incidented. We've identified the meat criminals. And Minori and Uchi are one of the weirdest couples to ever be on Terrace House. I think we've established all three of those facts.
Meat Criminals, our new alt rock outfit album.
Can we just like insert an in memoriam for this nice A5 Wagyu beef?
Dude,
right
it
here.
never got prepared correctly.
Damn
it. Come on.
Of a meat criminal?
As someone who spends hours making meat perfect, it does hurt me inside.
Alrighty then.
Maybe the meat crime was the friends we didn't make along the way.
There
No?
it is.
Friends.
So hey, if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to tell a friend, spread the word, let everyone know that Terrace House is a great show and Tadaima is the perfect companion to it. If not, maybe if you want to tell a stranger by leaving us an iTunes review, that would mean so much to us. And if you leave one, you'll get a chance of having your words read aloud live on this pre-recorded show by a voice like Jax.
Hey, this review is from Matt Yap. What up, Matt Yap? What the fuck's up, Matt Yap?
Yikes.
The name.
I love you.
I want to. I don't want to fight you. I just want to read your review, and thank you for this.
He
awesome
will fight
review.
you.
I don't want to fight nobody. I'm a lover, not a fighter. It's banging. I had never heard of the show prior to this podcast, and listening actually got me into watching the show. The personalities on the podcast mesh well. They all play off each other very well, and they all bring really interesting perspectives and background into the show. Highly recommend. Matt, thanks again, man. What the fuck's up? We appreciate you, brother.
What the fuck is up, Matthew Yap? Matthew Amadeus Yap.
Is that really his
real?
middle name?
Wait, is that real?
No, but he needs to change it.
I wish
to
it
that.
was. Okay, you heard it here first.
Amadeus. Amadeus.
Amadeus, 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 Amadeus.
Rock me, Amadeus.
If you have any... At some point, we're going to get copyright strike, guys.
For this, and this.
Amadeus.
Okay, we gotta stop.
If you have any questions, comments, concerns, theories, anything you want us to talk about with the meat crime, if you think we've missed something, please let us know by emailing us at questions@terracehousepodcast.com. You can catch us next week for another episode of BGITC, where we're going to deconstruct the weird non-relationship between Armand and Arisa, because that's some shit, y'all. And, you can probably watch up to, I don't know, late 20s, I want to say, probably-ish. But hopefully by now you've been just binging the rest of BGITC like we have, and yeah, you're super ahead anyway.
That's a meat crime of a different sort. We'll get there.
Same. This has been Tadaima. Thanks for listening. Itekimasu!
You can email us at questions@terracehousepodcast.com, follow us on Instagram at Tadaimagram, on Twitter at TadaimaPod, and check us out on Facebook and YouTube at Tadaima, a Terrace House podcast.